Liz Lamping here, PHRA's Executive Director. Welcome to P4, People, Purpose, Passion, Pittsburgh. P4 is brought to you by our members and sponsors, Latitude and the University of Pittsburgh Executive MBA Programs and Center for Executive Education. We appreciate their support, and we will hear from them throughout the podcast, beginning with the University of Pittsburgh Executive MBA Programs and Center for Executive Education.
My name is Dylan Jenkins. It is a pleasure of mine for those of you that are joining us today for our P4 segment, People, Purpose, Passion, for the PHRA Board of Director Spotlights. For those of you who do not know me, I did have the pleasure of getting interviewed. So sitting in the seats of both Diane and Ashleigh are guests today, and I was interviewed for the first segment of this by the lovely Corey Amos. So if you do want to go back and watch that, I strongly urge you to. But for those of us that are tuning in today, I act on the LPD committee as the committee chair. So it's been my pleasure to be integrated in working with not only Liz, but the whole executive team at the PHRA. And we had a very strong push for our members to get to know our board of directors even further, so that when they see them at the annual conference or the compliance conference, to approach us and say hello. So without further ado, welcome to the program, Diane and Ashleigh.
Hi. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So I sent you guys a list of questions prior to us hopping on here. So we're going to stick to that today. And the first one's going to be, tell us a little bit about yourselves, who you are, and I'll give you maybe a 30-second time to give us your elevator pitch, if you will. And so Diane, we'll start with you.
Okay, I'll go ahead and jump on in. Hi, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us. Very happy to have the PHRA board spotlighted, especially because I know how much everyone puts into this and what hard work goes into making such an excellent organization. Ashleigh and I are both on the executive committee, but my name is Diane Hauser. I'm the proud mom of 4. I live in Sewickley. I feel like I've been in HR forever, and I'm an extremely proud board member. I'm the chair of the Membership and College Relation Committee and on the executive team.
All right. Thanks, Diane. I'm Ashleigh Sager. I am part of the executive committee as well. I'm currently the president-elect. I've also been the secretary in the past, as well as the networking committee chair. I'm also an active member of the certification committee, so perhaps I've taught you one of the modules if you were in the prep class. I'm a part of signature events, and I recently joined Diane's committee, and I'm part of the membership and college relations committee. A little bit about me. I live in the North Hills, and I have 2 kids. My son will be 8 in March, and my daughter will be 3 in March. And I am a sports mama. My son plays club soccer for the Riverhounds. He also plays club baseball for Steel City Select. And my daughter does gymnastics, so I'm always on the go with my kids. I really, really love it. When I'm not cheering them on, I really like to organize spaces in my house. I've recently picked up reading instead of endlessly scrolling on social media, and I really like to go to concerts. So that's a little bit about me.
I love that. Well, both, thank you so much for sharing those things. Actually, I'm going to stick with you for a moment here because I've recently gotten into organizing specific spaces in my house as well, versus endlessly scrolling. So yesterday, my wife and I were at Lowe's trying to get new flooring for our kitchen. We're trying to give that area of our house a facelift. So would love to connect with you maybe after the call here to hear what kind of projects you've taken on at home.
Sure, I'd love it.
but lovely. So
I just want to jump in. I'm
yeah.
on the opposite end of both of you. I'm an empty nester. It's just my husband, myself, and a very old cat. We have an elderly cat. He's about 21 years old. He's a
Wow.
scraggly little thing, but we love him.
Yeah.
So I'm on the opposite end, thinking of downsizing. I've had 4 kids in this big house. I don't need all this space anymore. I just have to clean it now. So there's hope at the end of the tunnel. You'll get there. Don't worry. Someday you'll be saying, "Oh, I wish someone was here making a mess."
Yeah,
Like, I wish
yeah.
all the toys were everywhere.
Oh, one day they're gone. You blink and they're gone.
Oh.
They're just
I
gone.
bet.
Yeah, with us coming out of the holiday season, it's so funny. Some of my loved ones and I were actually having this exact conversation. My parents, for example, they're looking to downsize as well. And, my mom told me after, I think it was Thanksgiving, she called me the day after and she's like, yeah, it's just so quiet here. And, Christmas Day, they usually have a big party in Christmas Eve. But yeah, they're kind of in the similar chapter of life as well, where they're like, yeah, we don't really need this big, 4-bedroom, 5-bedroom house anymore. Oh, it just means we just have to clean more. And that's not something we want to do. So,
Exactly.
yeah, they definitely share that same want or next step with you as well, Diane. But second question here. So first and foremost, thank you both so much for, on the personal side, sharing a few facts about you guys. Hopefully that can resonate with our members. The second one is going to be a little bit more professionally driven. So tell us a little bit about yourselves from the professional side. Things like what your title is, what does your role entail, how did you end up in the current role? I know some folks, HR isn't a path that they started initially, but were kind of thrown in and fell in love with it. So again, I'll start with Diane. And if you want to start kind of going through those first little, couple questions I had there,
Sure.
I'll give you the floor.
Sure, absolutely. Well, I'm on the employee relations side of HR. So, it tends to be the more specific pieces that are, let's say, difficult. When you're ending the work relationship, when you're dealing with investigations, when you're dealing with, employees that really need your help in a specific way. And it can be the tough side. I joke with a colleague of mine who's in recruiting that, kind of she's on the, she's up in Mount Olympus and I'm down in Hades sometimes, that we're different perspectives. But I will say the thing that draws me to employee relations is at the end of the day, I get the chance to help someone who's in a difficult spot. And that's a unique piece of HR that we really get to be between the employee side and the company side, and hopefully bring something positive to both. So I really enjoy it. When I was growing up, it was back when it was personnel. It wasn't even HR at that point. It really, our profession has become something very serious and very necessary in the business world. So, I never thought when I was growing up, oh, I'd be an HR professional. You didn't think of it. Now, I have interns who go to school that want to be in HR and are actively studying it. And one of the members on our committee, Ashley, Sandy Murvash, down at Point Park, she teaches students daily, how to be in the profession. And a lot of colleges and universities around Pittsburgh, have that focus, or a minor in it. So, I think HR is just fantastic. I absolutely love it. I love that no 2 days are the same. I get to help people. I get to be there for maybe when they're having difficult moments, and give them support, and, at the very least, give them the core values that I believe in, and, the support that I would like someone to give me in that situation. So I love employee relations. I do. I really do.
If I can interject here, you made a very interesting point that I want to unpack, and it's that universities are having such a big push for folks, whether it is from the academic side and getting their undergraduate in or master's in, but also from, I'll call them committees or things they can do kind of outside of their education. I was actually invited back. I graduated from Slippery Rock University, state school, up in the north there. They have a Pittsburgh Human Resource Association or SHRM chapter, a student chapter, and I was asked to come back and speak to those individuals, and they blew me away. Like how their organization probably composed of maybe 8 to 10 people, and speaking with them, I was just amazed. I remember leaving and telling a few of them, like, you are so much more ahead of where I was, at your age. And it's so impressive to hear some of the roles that you're already doing. One of them was at a 300 life company and assisting with payroll and benefits.
Love it.
Yeah,
I love it.
And this is somebody that was under 20 years old.
Love it.
Yeah, so I just wanted to
That-
pause and say how impressed I was. Yeah.
Dylan, I love it. That's really why I like the Membership and College Relations Committee that Ashleigh and I are on, is that we get to reach out to students, and bring them into the professional organization so they can make connections, they can network. We do mentoring, we do budding, all kinds of things that young members, and especially those that, just coming out of college or in college, can connect with us and connect with professionals. We want to build the future of our profession. There's no competition here. It's open. Everybody come on in. The water's warm. Come on in.
I love it. I love it. So Ashley, I'm going to kick it over to you then. So again, just to kind of reiterate them, from the professional side, tell us what your title is. What does your role entail? Did you want to be in this role when you were going through school or growing up, rather? Educational background, all those fun things.
Yeah. Thanks for asking that question. So I actually do not have a human resources degree. I have a degree in advertising. So HR really wasn't in my path. I really didn't know what I wanted to do. So I kind of accidentally landed in HR. And I think it's because I do have a love for people and I like strategy. I like knowing what's going on behind the scenes. And I just like to, in general, make things better. I think that's why I like to organize things around my house. Like I just love process improvement and making things better. So HR has really suited me, and I've been doing HR for about 13 years now. I'm currently in a recruitment only role, which I never really pictured myself doing. Up until 2 years ago, I was in like your typical generalist type of track. I was an HR director for a small family-owned insurance brokerage firm. And then just opportunity called to look into this recruitment position. And this is one of the benefits of the PHRA. So I had reconnected with a former colleague that I had worked in HR with years before. And she is working for UPMC just like I do now, which I didn't get to that part yet. But I said to her, I'm like, Erin, are you hiring HR people? Like what do you hire for? Like what departments? And she's like, I have this recruiter role. It's in physician services. I think you would be really great at it. And she connected me with the hiring manager, and it was all, it was history. So it's been going really great for me. So another really great thing about PHRA, you get to network, you get to meet people, you get to reconnect with people, and it might help you down the road in your career. So what I do at UPMC is I am a physician recruiter. I specifically recruit primary care physicians. So I'm really the sourcing side and using all different, websites and portals to find these candidates and attract them. We also have 7 residency programs at UPMC, like locally in Pittsburgh. There are others outside of the city, but I also make an effort to connect with the directors and the coordinators there and connect with those residents who are graduating, because they're very, very busy. They're looking for jobs and I have jobs. So it's a perfect connection. So yeah, I love HR. I'm excited to be on the recruitment side. I don't know if I'll go back to the employee relations HR director side, because I'm really enjoying how my particular role, it's fulfilling, but it also fits my busy lifestyle. I'm fortunate I get to work from home 3 to 4 days a week, and that's not typical for, someone in HR. So maybe more typical now than it used to be, but yeah, I'm just really happy with where my path has taken me. So yeah, that's a little bit about me professionally.
Yeah, thank you so much. So yeah, my primary care physician, I won't say his name, but he's there in Cranberry. He recently just signed a contract. Well, I shouldn't say recently, it was like 5 years ago, with UPMC. So I'm assuming you were maybe one of the individuals.
It's probably one of my practices. If
Yeah.
I had to guess,
Yeah.
I had to guess, I would I would guess. I maybe offline I'll guess what it is,
Sure.
but
Yeah. 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 I guess their name. Yeah, that'd be fun. But yeah, so you're reaching out to independent physicians or practices, family-owned practices, and saying, hey,
Mhm.
I'm not sure if you would be interested, but UPMC is looking to bring on, more physicians, and that's your main role.
Yep, that's what I do every day, every day.
Awesome. 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 So you actually made one closing comment there that I want to get your opinions on, and that is this hybrid work environment, working from
Mhm.
home, being in HR, typically not the norm. I know for my company, for example, we're in a hybrid program where we go in 2 days a week, and then for 3 days a week, we are working from home. But I understand that the more hands-on personnel and staff that we have, are there every day, like our group's controller or our organization's controller. His name's Dave. He's there every day, Monday through Friday. So kind of walk me through how that change has impacted both of your organizations, or what you've seen shift in the norm. I talk to business owners and HR professionals all day, so I could weigh in as well, but kind of curious what your insights are.
Sure, sure. Well, UPMC has about 92,000 employees at this stage, and that number might be smaller than what it really is. That's the last number I know. But, you know, when you have that many employees and we have so many locations and we're trying to provide the best care in the world to everyone that we can, space runs short, like there's a space issue sometimes. So being able to have our employees work from home, work remotely, has helped to free that up, and it's also allowed for better work-life balance for those individuals as well. Obviously, if they are positions where they need to examine patients or whatnot, those individuals are likely going to be in a clinic, in the hospital. But anybody who maybe isn't patient interacting, is maybe they're on the health plan or something like that, where they can be on the phone. UPMC, from what I can see, is taking advantage of that. And I know for myself, like I can't imagine going back to 5 days a week in the office, just getting ready every day and packing my lunch every day and the commute every day. And
Yep.
I mean, I can do what I need to do from home and do it really well. And it just has really helped me to keep all the balls up in the air, or be able
Yeah.
to have a better quality of life. So I love hybrid. I
Yeah.
love it.
And Diane, I'm going to get to you because I'd love your input on that question as well. But a follow-up of mine would be, how has that impacted things, from a processes standpoint? I hear a lot of the times employers say we've kind of lost that element of, the water cooler, and folks feeling this sense of camaraderie or team. We kind of lost that element, but we've needed to shift to this hybrid work environment because
Mhm.
of a retention issue. Employees were leaving left and right because we weren't, bending or turning into a work environment where it is hybrid. So because of that, we did lose some very tenured individuals, and it's been very difficult to, fill those shoes of their more senior, whether they're engineers or architects. But Diana, I'm going to kick it over to you, and kind of tell me a little bit about how, say COVID has impacted, the work environment for you guys, and if you guys have gone to a similar hybrid program as well.
Sure, absolutely. Well, I want to take you back to in your minds to 2019. Early 2019, I went to the chief people officer and I said, we need to look at a remote program. We need to think about this. Can we work from home? What can we do? So he said, well, take a swing at it. So I actually wrote a policy, a remote worker policy. We started moving towards the fall of 2019, and I put out a call to employees. Hey, would anybody like to work at home? And we got about 20 people. So we put together a training and we wrote a policy. We had them sign it. We had all these things we put together. We sent out our first cohort. We're keeping tabs on them. Were they doing their work? Were, all of the expectations being met of the role? Yeah, no problem. So we sent out another cohort. We got to about a third cohort and we couldn't get anybody to do it. We're like, come on, doesn't anybody want to go home? Come on. And then we hit early 2020. Here comes COVID. pulled that policy out, tweaked it a little bit, and had to send everybody home, and everyone had to get trained. Everyone had to acknowledge the policy. It really was a saving grace to have had that in place beforehand. I kind of have a sweet spot, or a sweet spot in my heart for remote workers, because I do feel like in today's current economy, and in current social economy, we need that. We need a space where we can have, professionals of any age in any role have the opportunity to work at home, to save on the gas, to save on childcare. Although, of course, we want to make sure employees are doing their work. I'm not saying they wouldn't work, but if you have middle school kids, once they come through the door, they don't want to talk to you anyway, So, really leveraging something that was brought to all of us by force. We had no choice. COVID came, we had to protect our children, our family, our loved ones, leveraging something that was put in place for the employees. And there's a way to do that. Now, I'm certain for each company that varies. It may work for some and not for others. To know that some physicians actually have the ability to do that, I'm sure is fantastic, because you want your physician to have good work-life balance. So when they get to you, they're giving you their attention, they're giving you the best care. Anybody who is out there working, you hope for that. You want that employee to give their best out into the public. So, I'm actually think it's part of the future. I don't think we'll ever get completely back away from it. But I think it's incumbent upon HR professionals to do it and do it well, to make sure there's training, to make sure there's resources, make sure you understand how your employees are working at home and how they're working in the office. Dylan, I would agree with you. I think the water cooler element is not there. But if you have a good manager, if you have someone who really is giving it their extra and their all, they're going to make that work over Zoom. They're going to make that work over Teams. They're going to keep connections. Even if they're not in person. And if that's part of their requirements as a leader, or it's just generally part of their personality, that will kind of meet that expectations. Not exactly. There's nothing like standing over there with a hot cup of coffee and chatting with someone about the ball game or the whatever, Taylor Swift concert, whatever it is. That will never be replaced, but we can still keep connection virtually. We can. We just have to focus on it and make it a priority to connect.
Yeah. A lot of my groups, they come to me and ask, what are some conscious ways or efforts that we could start doing to, start rebuilding that. And some of the things that, surfaced have been virtual coffee sessions, in the morning, whether it's 9 a.m., 10 a.m., before things get too busy, have kind of a morning hour where you're, kind of having that, not professional, topics, more personal topics where you're kind of catching up with one another, or a weekly happy hour, with everything, obviously, well and opened up for the past year or so now, having a happy hour to get together. But yeah, absolutely. So in closing, though, I do want to ask both of you the last question here, that being, what are some HR trends that you guys are seeing, because you both are in obviously a very similar role, different role, with Ashleigh being in recruiting there, but in two different industries. And before I'll kick it to Ashleigh to answer that first, I do want to say to all of our members out there that if some of the things we've talked about today, if you guys do want further information on how Diane or how Ashleigh or myself, how we're currently tackling these things, or maybe having a priority management board set up, we would be more than happy to connect you. I don't want to speak for Diane or Ashleigh or add anything to your you ladies, your calendars, but if you do want to reach out to me, please don't hesitate. I'd be more than happy to connect with you guys. And if I'm not the correct resource, I can definitely find you the correct resource. But with that being said, Ashleigh, I'm going to kick it over to you to see what kind of HR trends you're seeing now in your industry.
Sure. So, I mean, there's no secret that, there is a, shortage of providers, of healthcare professionals, especially after, the pandemic and everything that the healthcare providers went through. So, from the, primary care practice side and the things that I'm privy to and hear about in our meetings, we're always looking for qualified candidates for especially medical assistants, for nurses. So, and I don't recruit that side, but these are the things that I hear, and they make our operations so much better and smoother when we have our offices fully staffed. For me specifically, just the way that physicians go through school these days and kind of how they choose their path of what they want to do once they're out of, residency. So I recruit primary care, which means I recruit family medicine doctors and internal medicine doctors. And I have really no issue finding family medicine doctors, because if you're a family medicine doctor, that's what you're going to do, and that's the path that you're on. Internal medicine, though, those individuals that are internal medicine physicians, they oftentimes go into specialty. They're not going to go into primary care. So there's a pretty big shortage of internal medicine providers in the physician side. And this is everywhere, not just a Pittsburgh thing. So just finding and identifying those providers is a challenge that I have. So that's very specific to my industry and what I do. But I know recruitment in general and finding the right talent is a challenge that everybody faces. So I'll kick it over to Diane to see what she thinks.
Ashleigh, there's definitely a shortage of employees everywhere. I don't know, I feel like COVID came and people retired and they just haven't come back. But each day is a new challenge. You just keep going. As for trends, I'd say there are two things that I think are trends really right now and going forward that are going to stay with HR. First, I think is the desire for data. Something I've been charged of for a long time now is gathering that data on turnover, on performance improvement, on, corrective actions, all of those things, all of the pieces of data that HR is touching across the organization, everything that we hold is a source of data. We really have a lot of information that we can gather, organize, and share with our organization to help them make good decisions for the business and the employees. So I think data is going to continue to be a requirement of HR, reporting out, preparing information, analyzing it, synthesizing it, so it is useful on both sides, employee side and employer side. Second major trend that I have seen, and I think will continue, is mental health in the workplace. And I know for HR professionals, we're very aware that SHRM has a whole approach to mental health. But I would say, especially in employee relations, I've seen people in breakdown moments. I've seen them where they are so distressed, they don't even know where their next breath is coming from. And as HR professionals, it's tasked to us to be there and to support them through that. Obviously the business is our focus, but for any organization that has core values, you're gonna have your HR team prepared and ready to support your employees when they need a hand, when they just need someone to hold their hand and say, it's gonna be okay. We have some resources, we'll help as much as we can, we get it. We understand. So I think those two things are in the future of HR for all of us. And I don't see them changing. In fact, I see them increasing.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you.
Yeah, I do as well. And I know that we're pretty much at time, but the last comment I'll make is that has been a topic of interest, at least for my field, for I'd say the past year and a half, 2 years now. That being, hey Dylan, how can we integrate an EAP program, EAP being the acronym for Employee Assistance Program, to better serve our employees if they are going through a financial crisis or any sort of crisis that would lead to them not being, I hate to say productive at the workplace, but productive in their own lives, from a personal standpoint. What are some resources we can use? And as you'd said, for those of us that are listening in that are interested to learn more about the SHRM resources that we have available, please don't hesitate to reach out. But it has been such a pleasure I feel like I could talk to both of you for the next 3 hours and we wouldn't run out of things to talk about. But but with that being said, I want to thank both of you again, and for all of our members that are listening out there, it's been my pleasure. Again, my name is Dylan Jenkins. I serve on the LPD committee as the committee chair. If you are interested in getting more involved in either my committee or some of the other committees that both Diane and Ashleigh serve on, please reach out with that as well. But I hope you all are healthy, happy, and happy 2024.
People do matter. And at the end of the day, we cannot get any work done if we don't have the right people in place. Are your people connected? Latitude is the one-stop shop people connection software platform. Our software workshops and programming facilitate new employee onboarding, manager one-on-ones, stay interviews, mentorship programs, and peer networking to increase retention, engagement, satisfaction, productivity, profitability, and happiness. Imagine a technology that intersects your calendar with LinkedIn, Zoom, Google Docs, and your CRM. Contact Latitude today to schedule a conversation.
The PHRA P4 podcast was created to help build HR leaders through discussions with thought and business leaders on the most critical success factor of any business, its people. If you enjoy an episode, please help us spread the word by subscribing to the podcast and providing us a rating. We would love for you to take a screenshot of the episode, tag PHRA, and share it with your followers. Until next time, thank you